My name is Charlotte Hayes, and sometimes I think grief is a room without air. You walk into it thinking you're prepared, thinking you know what sadness feels like, but then it hits you with a weight you didn't expect. You think you're ready because you knew this moment was coming, but when it finally arrives, all the preparation disappears. You stand there in the middle of a quiet house, surrounded by memories etched into the furniture and the walls, and suddenly you're a little girl again, reaching for a hand that isn't there anymore. That's what it felt like the week my father died. I moved through the days like I was underwater, slow and heavy. I cooked dinner without tasting it, answered texts without reading them, walked around my home picking things up and putting them down again without knowing why. I wore the same sweater 3 days in a row because Dad always used to compliment it, saying it made me look warm, approachable, like someone people could lean on. I didn't feel warm anymore. I felt cold from the inside out. The funeral happened in a blur. Faces blurred. Voices blended together. People hugged me, squeezed my shoulders, whispered that Dad was proud of me. I nodded politely, but their words floated right past me because all I could think about was how Dad used to hold the sides of his coffee mug with both hands, warming them before taking a sip. Or how he'd sit on the porch at sunset, tapping the railing lightly with his fingertips as if keeping time with some song only he could hear. And I knew, even on the day he left, that my grief wouldn't be loud. It wouldn't be the wailing kind that shows itself. It was the heavy, quiet kind that sinks into your bones. So when my older brother Daniel showed up at my door 3 days after the funeral, I wasn't expecting anything dramatic. I wasn't expecting the sentence that would split something inside me. He didn't even knock softly. He banged on the door like the world owed him its attention. I opened it slowly, still exhausted from crying the night before, my hair tied back loosely, my eyes puffy. He walked inside without waiting for an invitation, like he always did. Like the world was his and I was just someone who lived in it. He stood in the middle of my living room with his arms folded across his chest, like he had a judgment ready before I even said hello. I waited for him to say something gentle, or at least something human. But instead, he delivered the sentence like it was a grocery list. Dad left you nothing. I blinked once. My heart stuttered. I tried to swallow, but my throat tightened. Nothing, I repeated softly, unsure if I was asking or echoing. He nodded with a casual shrug, like he was talking about the weather. That's right. I've already spoken to Dad's lawyer. Everything goes to me. You don't need to worry about anything. I stared at him, not because of the money but because of the cruelty hidden under his calm tone. I waited for him to correct himself, to soften the blow, to say he misspoke. But he didn't. He leaned against the back of my sofa, fully confident, fully satisfied. He continued, Dad trusted me. He knew I was the responsible one, the one who could handle things. You're sensitive, Charlotte. You take everything too personally. He didn't want to burden you with financial stuff. Burden me. That word cracked something inside me. I took care of Dad his last year. I drove him to every appointment. I stayed with him on nights when he couldn't sleep. I sat beside him when his hands shook too hard to hold a pen. I held his arm when stairs became too difficult. I read to him. I cooked for him. I listened to him. Daniel visited twice. Twice. I felt a small tremor in my hands, so I hid them behind my back. I didn't want him to see me shake. I didn't want him to think he had that kind of power over me. I asked quietly, can I see the documents? He laughed. Not a happy laugh. A mocking one. No, you don't need to see them. I've got everything under control. I'll handle all the accounts, all the paperwork, all the decisions. You just focus on healing or whatever. Or whatever. He took a breath. And look, Charlotte, don't take it personally. Dad just didn't want to overwhelm you. He always said you couldn't handle stress well. Something burned behind my eyes, but I didn't cry. Not in front of him. I whispered, Dad never said that to me. Daniel shrugged. He didn't have to. I think he knew you'd understand the situation. You're good at accepting things. Good at accepting things. Another crack in the foundation of who he thought I was. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I didn't try to defend myself. I just nodded calmly. If that's how it is, then okay. He blinked, surprised. You're not upset. I forced a small smile. I'm tired, Daniel. I don't have energy to fight anything right now. He relaxed visibly, thinking he had won. Thinking I was too soft to question him. He left my house with his confidence intact, unaware that something inside me had shifted. A quiet shift. A tearful one. But a shift nonetheless. When the door closed behind him, I sank onto the floor, my back against the wall, and I cried without sound. Tears streamed down my cheeks, warm and steady. I cried for Dad. I cried for the brother I never truly had. I cried for the girl I used to be, the one who believed being soft meant being stepped on. But somewhere in the middle of that tearful ache, a little voice whispered in my mind, the same voice Dad used on the porch when the sun set behind him. Don't let anyone shrink you, kiddo. You're stronger than you think. 3 days later, that whisper became a truth I could no longer ignore. Because the bank called. And everything began to unravel. I was standing in the produce aisle at the grocery store when the universe decided to throw the truth at me. My basket was halfway filled with apples, bread, and soup cans for the week when my phone buzzed. I ignored it at first. Then it buzzed again. Then again. On the fourth buzz, something nudged me, maybe instinct, maybe Dad's voice in my memory, and I reached into my bag to check who it was. The screen showed a number I didn't recognize. Voicemail. My chest tightened. I walked to a quiet corner of the store, near the shelves of baking powder and flour, and hit play. Good afternoon, Miss Hayes. This is Joanne from Fidelity Bank. We're calling to confirm your access status for your father's primary account and to schedule your next steps. Please return our call at your earliest convenience. Thank you. I froze. Access status. Your access. For a moment, the world around me became blurry. The hum of the refrigerators, the soft background music, the echo of carts rolling down aisles, it all faded. All I heard was Dad's voice on one of our last nights together, his breathing slow, his hand warm over mine. Don't let anyone make you feel small, kiddo. I took a shaky breath and left my basket behind, walking straight to my car. My hands trembled as I unlocked the door and sat down inside, shutting out the world. I replayed the voicemail 4 more times to be sure I wasn't imagining it. Then I called back. The same calm voice answered. Fidelity Bank, this is Joanne. How may I help you? Hi, this is Charlotte Hayes. I'm returning your call. Yes, Miss Hayes. Thank you. We were trying to confirm your identity as joint access holder for your father's account ending in 7132. Can you please verify your birthday for me? My heart thudded in my chest. I gave her the information with a voice that shook slightly. Perfect, she said. Everything matches. You were added to this account as joint access 6 months ago. That gives you full authority to manage the funds and make all decisions moving forward. Joint access. Full authority. I shut my eyes as tears gathered. Dad had added me. Quietly. Thoughtfully. Trustingly. He hadn't forgotten me. He hadn't left me with nothing. He hadn't chosen Daniel over me. He had chosen both of us. But he had trusted me to handle the part that mattered most. Joanne continued, and just to confirm, Miss Hayes, we only need your authorization for transfers or changes. Your brother will not have access without your approval. Something cracked inside me, not painfully this time, but like a window opening to let in light after days of darkness. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you so much. I hung up and sobbed into my hands. Big, messy, tearful sobs that came from relief and heartbreak and the sudden realization that my brother had lied. Boldly. Confidently. And Dad had quietly prepared for that possibility. When I got home, my phone buzzed angrily. Daniel. I ignored it. An hour later, he was standing at my door, knocking hard. I opened it slowly. He didn't waste time. The bank called me. They said they've been trying to reach you. I stayed silent. He demanded, You're going to tell them you don't want the account. Tell them to give me control. Dad wanted me to manage it. I shook my head gently. That's not what they said. His face twisted. Charlotte, stop. You're not built for this kind of responsibility. I lifted my eyes to meet his. Dad trusted me with it. He blinked. No. No, that's not possible. You must have misunderstood. I whispered, the bank confirmed my access. He stepped back like I had hit him. He whispered, why would he do that? Because I was there, I said softly. Because he knew I'd use it to take care of things, not to control them. For the first time, my brother had no comeback. He whispered, voice breaking, I thought he believed in me. Pain rushed through me. I wanted to hug him. I wanted to yell. I wanted to collapse. But instead, I stayed still. Dad believed in both of us, I said. Just differently. He left abruptly, emotions too heavy for him to hold. And I stood in my doorway, tears sliding gently down my face, knowing the truth had only begun to reveal itself. Because the bank call wasn't the whole story. It was just the beginning. The next message I received wasn't from the bank. It was from my brother. We need a family meeting. Now. I didn't reply. But I showed up. My aunt's living room smelled the same as always, lavender candles, old fabric softener, and a hint of vanilla from her constant baking. I stepped inside and found them all already seated, my aunt, uncle, cousins, and Daniel sitting at the center like a wounded king. Everyone turned to stare at me the moment I entered. Daniel started first. Charlotte, sit down. We need to clear this up. I stayed standing. My aunt gave me a soft look lined with false pity. Honey, we heard there was some confusion about your father's accounts. Daniel told us you were mistaken. Mistaken? My uncle crossed his arms. You're grieving, sweetheart. It's easy to misunderstand paperwork during times like these. My cousins watched me like hawks waiting for weakness. I finally spoke, voice soft but steady. I didn't misunderstand anything. Daniel tensed. Charlotte, just stop. Dad never added you. The bank must have had old information. You're complicating everything. I lifted my chin. The bank confirmed my joint access today. My aunt blinked. Access? As in, you're on the account. I nodded. Daniel's jaw clenched. Dad didn't tell me that. He would have told me, Charlotte. He always talked to me about finances. I felt tears sting my eyes, not because of his words, but because of what he didn't understand. Dad talked to you about business. He talked to me about fear. About loneliness. About regrets. About the things he needed comfort for, not analysis. You weren't there for those moments, I said softly. He added me because he needed someone who would show up. That sentence didn't come from anger. It came from remembrance. From every night I held Dad's hand. From every appointment I drove him to. From every story he whispered through weak breaths. My aunt tried again. Maybe there was a mistake, I cut her off gently. There was no mistake. Daniel slammed his palm onto the coffee table. Why would he pick you? You're fragile. You cry too easily. You get overwhelmed. The tears in my eyes spilled over, slowly sliding down my cheeks. I whispered, maybe he knew that's what made me compassionate. The room fell silent. And in that moment, something shifted in Daniel's expression, not acceptance, not understanding, but fear. Fear of the truth. Fear of losing control. Fear of realizing he hadn't known Dad as well as he thought. He whispered, then why didn't he tell me? The softness in me cracked open, and the truth came out through a trembling breath. Maybe he was tired of you not listening, Daniel. His face broke. My heart broke with it. But truth doesn't ask permission to be spoken. Before anything else happened, my phone buzzed. It was an email notification. From the attorney's office. Subject, trust documents for review. My brother didn't know it yet, but the bank wasn't the final piece of this story. Dad had left something deeper. Something he'd placed in legal hands long before either of us knew time was running out. I walked into the attorney's office 2 days later with my heart beating in slow, painful thuds. The carpet was thick. The air smelled like paper and cedar. The receptionist spoke quietly, like everything in that space required softness. Mr. Albright, my father's attorney, greeted me with gentle eyes. Thank you for coming, Charlotte. I know this is difficult. I nodded. I was holding on to myself by a thread. He ushered me into a small conference room, where a thick binder sat on the table. My name was written on a label, simple, neat handwriting, probably my father's. Mr. Albright sat across from me. Your father was a very thoughtful man. He created this trust 2 years ago and updated it several times. He wanted everything clear so no arguing would happen after he was gone. My throat tightened. He opened the binder slowly, page by page, revealing investment accounts, property information, insurance details, and legal clauses that blurred in my tear-filled eyes. And then he said the sentence that made my breath catch. Your father named you the primary trustee and beneficiary. I covered my mouth with my hand. Tears spilled over. Soft, warm, unstoppable. He trusted me that much. He did, Mr. Albright said softly. He said you had the heart for this. He said you were steady, gentle, and kind, and those were the traits of someone who protects, not someone who controls. My chest ached. He slid a sealed envelope closer to me. This letter is from your father. He asked that I give it to you during this meeting. My hands shook as I tore it open, unfolding the paper with trembling fingers. My sweet Charlotte, if you're reading this, then I'm already gone, and you're probably crying. That's all right. I loved your soft heart. I chose you for this because you listened. You came when I called. You helped when I didn't know how to ask. You didn't look at me like a burden. You looked at me like your father. Daniel has his strengths. He always did. But he sees the world through what he wants, not through what is needed. You see the world through care. That's what this requires. Please don't let anger guide you. Let truth guide you. And let your heart stay soft. It's your superpower, kiddo. Love, Dad. My tears dripped onto the paper. I whispered, I miss you, Dad. I miss you so much. When I finally left the attorney's office, I held the binder to my chest like it was a fragile thing. My brother was waiting outside, leaning against his car, his shoulders slumped. He walked toward me slowly, without anger this time. More like regret. Did he leave you in charge, Charlotte? I nodded, tears still in my eyes. Daniel. Swallowed hard. And me. You got something too, I said gently. Just not responsibility. He looked away, wiping his cheek quickly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lied. I shouldn't have said those things. I touched his arm softly. I know. Because soft revenge isn't about destroying someone. It's about letting the truth break them open just enough to see themselves clearly. He whispered, you were there for him. I wasn't. I don't know how to live with that. I didn't answer. Some truths people have to sit with on their own. A week later, Daniel came to my house, not with anger, not with entitlement, but with an old photo of Dad holding both of us when we were kids. He placed it on my table gently. He said, I found this in Dad's drawer. I thought you should have it. I felt tears sting my eyes again. Daniel sat down across from me, his expression quiet. I never realized how much Dad talked to you. I never realized how much you carried. I smiled sadly. You never asked. He looked at his hands, the way boys do when they finally see the truth about themselves. He whispered, I was jealous of how close you were. I thought he loved you more. My heart cracked softly. Not broken, not angry, just mourning the years we lost. Dad loved us both, I said. He just counted on us differently. We talked for hours that night. About Dad. About childhood. About mistakes. About the quiet parts of life that hurt more than the loud ones. Soft revenge doesn't humiliate. It heals. It grounds. It reveals hearts. And that night, my brother finally became the brother I always wished he could be. When he left, I stood at the window, watching him walk to his car, shoulders no longer tense, step no longer arrogant. Truth had changed him. Not punishment. Not anger. Just truth. And as tears streamed softly down my cheeks one more time, I whispered into the quiet, I hope this is what you wanted, Dad. I hope I made you proud. Then I turned on my recording camera for my viewers and said gently, if you stayed with me through this story, thank you. If you haven't already, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. More stories are on their way, and I'd love to have you here. For each one.